This is the first real ride for Charlotte. If you watched another video claiming the same, it was the same ride just showing the outside part, where I mounted. That footage was captured on a different device, therefore uploaded separately.
What a lovely girl. That was your very first ride. What a lovely girl. What a lovely girl. Always brings up your adrenaline, so my breathing is affected by that. But that was Charlotte's first real ride. One leg on each side of her instead of just my sack of potatoes side ride. That's a good guy. So for him, until he stops thinking striking and kicking are a good way of protesting, I'm not going to teach him the over to the mounting block yet, because I don't want him to have a communication that could be dangerous to me that I otherwise respect when I give it to other horses, which is a way for them to tell me that they're, wait, there's another fly trap. For a way for them to tell me that they're confused or something like that. For me, I like to make sure that if I teach them the over, I do it responsibly. And right now, for my safety, it would not be responsible for me to teach him the over. Because right now, when he wants to tell me I'm not interested in learning that, his go-to move is to either strike or to kick. Cow kick or kick behind him. So I'm not in a position to think that that's a good idea yet, to teach the over yet. Okay, now, Logan's had a lot of years off. I trained Logan for somebody, and then I bought him instead of sending him home. And then he became a shoemaker's shoe. And he doesn't get ridden ever, so... Okay, good job. Okay, head in. Good. So, as he's acting right now, this is a horse that I could probably comfortably say I could swing my leg over. People ask me when I make that decision, and I would say when it feels natural, as if it's just a daily routine. Today was the closest to a natural feeling he's ever given me since I was riding him on a regular basis.
Watch just how unconfident Logan suddenly gets when I simply ask him to step to the right versus continuing towards his stall.
Good boy. Step over here for... You're okay. Follow that feel. So I'm giving him a feel of the rein to the right. Follow that feel. Good. And no. Good. I wanted it to be my idea. Buddy. Go ahead, go in there. Now Teddy, he's kind of the novelty horse. He really wasn't going to be a riding horse, and my husband has no intention. It's supposed to be his horse. He has no intention of learning how to ride, so there really was no reason to go crazy training him when there were other horses to be trained. So Teddy's just kind of fun. Good job. Good job. What a good baby. Although you're not a baby, are you? No. You're just a good boy. Yeah. You're not a baby. You're just a good boy. Oh. What a good man. Oh, I've never just jumped down like that before. Wait. Good job. Okay, come on. Good job. Oh, I almost went off the other side. Good boy. Yeah. Good job. Okay. Keep going. I gotta go home. Good job. Yeah, keep going. No, we're not gonna play with the barrels today. We're just going straight to your house. Don't you want your food? Just go straight to your house. We're not riding anywhere. Okay, ready? Ho. Good man. What a good man. So that's his third ride ever with my legs on both sides of him. He's ridden out of the barn and into the barn now. So that's new. Riding him like a sack of potatoes, my side rides. So it's been going on forever. So he's not unfamiliar with trying to carry weight. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. No. Yeah, good boy. Not running. No, I know. This is your go-to move, is to bolt. You gotta learn not to bolt, right? Bolting is not how we do this game. But you're doing great. Yeah, I know. I feel you. I feel you thinking naughty. But where are you gonna bolt to? Into your stall? Let's not do that. Okay, ready? Ho. What a good man. You did great. Yes. So one thing I hadn't talked about was last year around this time, I had a pretty bad accident on Dewey. And truthfully, the accident wasn't a bad accident. Like, it wasn't like a terrible wreck. Yeah, it was loud because I crashed into a corral panel, and I do have it on video. So it, you know, people are like, oh, it was hard to watch. Plus, it looked like I got knocked out, but I got up right away. That wasn't a terrifying experience in itself, but what happened was it brought up PTSD experience or trauma from an accident I had on a runaway horse in 1984 that left me being told that I had a 2% chance of ever walking again. And if I did walk, it would be with such a severe limp I would need a cane. And even in the hospital, you know, my last rites had been read to me because I fell in an arena, which in an open, you know, almost completely severed leg, it, you know, got dirty. So infection shot up my leg and there was concern. So with that, and after that, I didn't have any fear whatsoever. Was back at the barn on crutches and actually was kicked out of the barn for insurance reasons because I'm, you know, actively trying to walk horses around while I'm on crutches, and they felt that that was a little too much for their insurance to figure out. So they kicked me out, but then continued to ride after that. But what I haven't talked about, being that I'm a colt starter, is that it got my nerve, my accident on Dewey. And it really shook my confidence because it brought back the memories of that runaway ride, not the runaway ride I took on Dewey. I can stand here and say it was completely my fault. I was using equipment that I shouldn't have been using on a horse that I'm asking to trot for the very first time. I didn't take into consideration how the head stall I was using really was not going to be as effective as a rope halter. Therefore, I had no correct contact to his nose. I wasn't going to be able to bring his nose around. If you watch the video, you can see I've got both hands on my left rein, trying to pull up on my left rein to get him to one rein stop, and there was no contact enough to his nose to get him to bring his nose around. It just twisted around on his face, and he was able to keep his nose straight. The mistake I made was asking for something when in my pre-trip evaluation. I even said to the camera, is he ready to trot today? And I said no. And I went against what I said I should have done. So even with all of those factors, 100%, like my fault, my horse wasn't ready, I had the wrong equipment, blah, blah, blah. The ride itself has brought up an experience from the past. Yesterday was the first time. So I had done saddle work with him, riding him on the side of a saddle and at the trot. But I still didn't find that comfort to swing my leg back over on this horse. And it's been a lot of climbing on other horses to kind of bring me to this point where I'm like, okay, the familiarity of swinging my leg over is back. Now I just have to feel out the horse. And yesterday was the first time I swung my leg back over on him. Today was the second time. And honestly, he was a little like thinking about bolting twice on the ride in, but I had the right equipment on him, and the communication got to his nose before he even more than entertained the thought. So proof in point that the right equipment on his nose would have made the difference in that other ride. But this is a slow getting back my confidence with this horse. I rode Tucker yesterday for the first time twice. I'm only doing these little rides, like a ride into the barn, a ride out of the barn. Charlotte got her first ride into the barn today. I've been doing what I call a potato sack side ride. I've been doing those with all of the babies for a very long time. So the idea of carrying me on their back and having to be responsible for their direction being given to them from above is not new to them. Logan is also coming in with a side ride. And the reason for that is I started Logan for somebody about 7 years ago, and then I just never returned him. I ended up buying him instead. And then he just fell into the category of a shoemaker's shoes. He just didn't get continued, which was really weird, because the reason I wanted him was because I just fell so in love with him, and he's flashy, and I thought, wow, I'm going to really have a great demonstration horse. And then just life happens, and more horses that need my attention happened, and I ended up just kind of like letting him fall to the wayside. And after my accident on Dewey, I was on him, and he was looking at a round bale, which apparently we got close enough to it to cause a critter to scurry out from underneath of it, I'm going to assume, because his sudden panic seemed to be something that was like a startle factor. And he grunted and bronc bucked and threw me off, and I landed flat on my back, and I got back on him. So like that was not PTSD triggering. However, a horse that's running away with me definitely had a very, very negative impact on me. So I'd like to share that, because I think it's important for all of us to understand that you don't know what's going to shake you to the point to where you don't have confidence, about something that otherwise always felt so natural. Riding horses bareback is natural to me, 100% natural to me. I would prefer, people say, what do you ride, English or Western? I say, I ride bareback. Whether it's a bareback pad or bareback. And the only reason I use a bareback pad is because, you end up with bareback butt. And, I have, as much as I've tried, I can't make that a fashion. So I try to keep my butt clean when I ride bareback. I got more horses to bring in, but I just wanted to, kind of tell people that, have had their confidence shook. You're not alone. Even trainers who get on horses for the very first time, who are the first butt to ever sit on a horse, can have that one incident that shakes them. And it may be because the incident itself was traumatizing, or it brings up memories of another traumatizing experience. I was just a kid. I was barely a teenager when my accident happened. And still to this day, many, 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 many years later, I find out that something can bring that legit fear back. That fear of being completely at the mercy of, this horse is not stopping for me. I'm not able to stop this horse. There's something very, very, very scary about that. And more so because I had that experience once before, and it could have ended my life. Or at the very least, we thought it was going to make it so I couldn't walk again. So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that. All right. Have a great day.